Sir, Mujib sir, is my screen shared, sir?
Give me 1 minute, madam. I'm sending it live.
యాక్చువల్గా ఎంత ఇంక్రీజ్ అయిందో చూస్తున్నాను.
160కి వెళ్ళింది సార్. నేను అమ్మింది 160 షేర్.
ఫస్ట్ అది యాక్చువల్ గా స్టార్టింగ్ అయిపోయి వచ్చిన రేట్ కి దీనికి
నేను అమ్మేది.
Madam, your screen is visible.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, we can have the same screen now.
Yes, sir.
I'll share the YouTube link shortly. సరే ఎంతసేపట్లో వస్తా నేను Ramya madam.
Yes, sir.
Then we start, madam. We are at 11 o'clock. People are joining.
Yes, sir.
We can start the session then. So if all is set, then we can start.
Yes, sir. I'll just make sure that Sumata ma'am has joined so that we can start the session, sir.
Yes, once Sumata madam has joined, we'll start the session.
Yes, sir.
We'll wait for madam to join. So madam is joining, madam, by any chance?
Yes, sir. Ma'am will join, sir.
Ramya, madam has joined by any chance?
Yes, sir. Ma'am is joining, sir. Ma'am has just opened. Ma'am will join.
Okay. I think people are joining, madam. I think more people are joining now. Sumlata, madam, good morning.
Yeah, very good morning.
Madam,
How are
first
you?
of all, congratulations for being elected as Indian Pharmaceutical Education chairperson for this
Yeah,
consecutive.
thank you so much. Thank you so much for your wishes.
We are very happy that we got educational division. We can conduct more conferences and more events.
Definitely, sir. Definitely. 100% I'll support for that one. Because this revision is mainly meant for that one only. So that's why,
Right,
as an academician, I have chosen this division in IPA.
right, right. Gurpreet sir, we have Sumlata madam, who is a principal for Class Institute, and she's been elected as the Indian Pharmaceutical Education Educational Division chairperson.
Good morning, Sumata ma'am. Congratulations. Really proud of your achievement. We're so happy that you've achieved this important milestone.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you for your wishes. And really, first of all, at the outset, I would like to welcome you for this. On the eve of NPW, I welcome you for this building area reporting culture for patient safety workshop or webinar, anything we can call it. And at the outset, I would like to thank Mujib sir for giving us an opportunity, for giving a path to invite you for this session. And really, in spite of your busy schedule, you have given your consent. And the full credit goes to Mujib sir only. Thank you, Mujib sir, once again. You have been like our Vikas Institute of Pharmaceutical Sciences family member in organizing so many events. So usually we'll think he as our family. So we have a family, a long and very big family, VIPS. So this Vikas Institute of Pharmaceutical Sciences. In this family, we have management, staff, students, parents, and everyone. And in this juncture, I mean, Mujibuddin sir also become our family member. Now, as an invitee and as a guest lecturer, you also become our family member. Thank you, sir, for accepting our invitation and for joining us to enlighten our students and our staff members, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Over to Ramya. Ramya?
Yes, ma'am. So, respected Director Dr. T.V. Narayan sir, Chairman Mr. T. C.H. Subbarao sir, Secretary Dr. T. Bharat Vikas sir, Principal Dr. G. Sumalata ma'am, respected distinguished speakers of the day, and all the participants, a very good morning to one and all. I, Ramya K., working as Associate Professor, Department of Pharmaceutics at Vikas Institute of Pharmaceutical Sciences, take absolute honor and privilege to welcome you all to this webinar organized by Vikas Institute of Pharmaceutical Sciences on the occasion of 4th National Pharmacovigilance Week celebrations in association with IPA Rajahmundry Local Branch and Clinosol Research Private Limited. Now, I would like to give you a brief introduction of VIPS. So, VIPS is a premier institution in pharmaceutical education, not only in Rajahmundry, but regarded as one of the best institutions in Andhra Pradesh under the able leadership of our dynamic director, Dr. T.V. Narayana sir. We are accredited with NAC A grade, and our college is renowned for its state-of-art infrastructure, cutting-edge facilities, and commitment to excellence. Our campus boasts with modern laboratories, advanced equipment, and a stimulating environment that fosters intellectual growth and creativity. And in the campus, we have Indian Pharmaceutical Association Rajahmundry Local Branch, which has been awarded the best local branch since 2014 and still is continuing its legacy. And coming to this 4th National Pharmacovigilance Week celebrations, the theme of the year is Building ADR Reporting Culture for Patient Safety. Now, this week is a dedicated period to raise awareness about the importance of reporting ADRs, thereby promoting patient safety by enhancing the monitoring of drug safety and encouraging healthcare professionals and public to actively report potential side effects of medications. Now, on this occasion, we are delighted to have with us the two luminaries in this field of pharmacovigilance and drug safety who have both made significant contributions to the healthcare industry. So please join me in welcoming Mr. Gurpreet Singh, Vice President and Managing Director of Integrated Safety at IQVIA, and Mr. C.S. Mujibuddin, Founder and CEO of Clinosol Research Private Limited. We are indeed fortunate to have these two experts share their wisdom and experiences with us today. So their deep understanding of challenges and opportunities with pharmacovigilance will no doubt inspire fruitful discussions during this session. So as you all know, we'll be having two sessions today. The first session will be given by Mr. Gurpreet Singh, followed by the second session by Mr. C.S. Mujibuddin sir. Now, let me take the privilege of introducing to you all the guest speaker for today, Mr. Gurpreet Singh. So he is currently the Vice President, Managing Director, Integrated Safety at IQVIA. He is based in UK and has a total of 19 years experience in pharma industry, of which 17 plus years have been in global drug development. During these years, he has had an opportunity to work with some top global companies like Cognizant, Tata Consultancy, Novartis, and Paraxil. At Novartis, he was the global head of PV operations, managing all global PV activities at Paraxil. And Gurpreet Singh sir is certified with Six Sigma and project management professionals. He has keen interest in digital transformation and organizing culture and has successfully led various projects during his tenure in the pharma industry. Without any further ado, I would like to invite our guest, Mr. Gurpreet Singh, to share his thoughts on the topic pharmacovigilance trends, challenges, and opportunities. Sir, please take over the session.
Thank you so much, Ramya ma'am, and thank you for the entire school, college, and everybody for inviting me for this session. I'm not able to see the slides. Yes, I think we can see it now. So, first of all, a very good morning from UK. It's 6:30 in the morning here. A bit cold, but pretty nice weather. Considering UK is generally not very good in weather as compared to India. I have been in the pharmacovigilance space for about 19 years, worked in various areas of drug development, and predominantly in pharmacovigilance, and have had the opportunity to work with top companies like Novartis, Parexel, and now IQVIA. And it's really a pleasure to be speaking to all of you today, talking about what's happening in pharmacovigilance from a global perspective, but at the same time, keeping in mind that as part of the fourth National Pharmacovigilance Week, it's important for us to develop the ADR culture. How do we really make sure that ADRs get reported? For some of you, before I get into my slides, I was reading an article this morning where it says that the overuse of antibiotics in India has resulted about 60% of death due to sepsis in India. This is an article as fresh as this morning when I was reading it. So it just shows that there is a lot of focus now in terms of information. The availability of information is so nice that you can access it from anywhere in the world. And there is a lot of focus in safety in pharmacovigilance. So getting a news like this, about how antibiotic misuse or overuse is causing deaths is an important element to say that ADR reporting has started picking up in India. If I could move to the next slide, please. I think all of you know what pharmacovigilance is. Everybody knows that it's about the detection, assessment, understanding, and prevention of adverse events. But I think many of us will not realize the actual benefits that pharmacovigilance has brought in, right? And that has all happened because of the use of ADR reporting. Going back to the theme of the National Pharmacovigilance Week, if you look at it, between 1953 and 2013, about 462 medicinal products have been withdrawn from the market due to adverse drug reactions. Now, this essentially means that the ADR reporting that's happening in the global level is ensuring that if there are unsafe medicinal products, pharma companies are making sure they are withdrawn in order to ensure patient safety. So that's a very good element about what's happening in ADR reporting at a global level. In India, again, it has to be expedited. More activities have to be done. And I think there is a clear intention of the Indian government and the Indian Pharmacovigilance Association to really move forward in that direction more aggressively. Now, some of the common reasons for withdrawal have been cardiotoxicity and hepatotoxicity. And I will share with you a few examples of withdrawals which have really impacted in a large scale. The financial losses, which obviously is the second element, one obviously is the patient safety. That's the predominant aspect where, by these withdrawals, we have ensured patient safety across the globe. But there is also an element of the pharma companies having to undergo financial losses because, certain adverse events which were not detected in clinical trials came to be known during post-marketing. But I think as a result of which, there was some impact that the pharma company had to go through, which is expected, with this kind of withdrawal. But I think the most important message is that ADR reporting does make sense, because the product has been in clinical trials exposed to lesser number of patients. Once it gets to the market, the more ADR reporting happens, the more the chances of identifying the right signals. And from that signals, if a drug is really causing problem with the safety, it's important that that drug is addressed and accordingly, whatever actions are required.
మీ
All right.
అబ్జర్వేషన్స్ లో ఉంటాయి కదా డేట్స్
Can everybody go on mute, please? Thank you. Now, if you look at it, I've put over here 4 important withdrawals which I believe have shaped how pharmacovigilance has happened. And I'll talk about Vioxx. Vioxx for me and for many of the PV industry professional is the game changer. That's when, PV really became very important. Everybody in the world woke up and said, let's do pharmacovigilance. Health authorities became extremely stringent with pharmacovigilance practices to be adopted by big pharma and by the CROs. Now, for those of you who are aware of Vioxx, I'll just give a quick snapshot. Vioxx or rofecoxib was actually launched in 2000, 2001, and it was considered to be a wonder drug. People felt that this was a drug which could help, treat arthritis, help, patients overcome the pain of arthritis. And it became a wonder drug. It became a blockbuster within the first year. For those of you who know, a blockbuster is really a drug which can achieve $1 billion of sales in the first year of launch. And Vioxx became that. So everybody was, this is the wonder drug and this is going to help, patients with arthritis. Couple of years later, people started realizing that there was an increased risk of heart attack, myocardial infarction, and strokes because of continued usage of rofecoxib. How did we get to know this? All of this information came from ADR reporting. Because of all of the information that was getting collected, it did take some while, but there was information which clearly linked that these attacks or these strokes were actually linked to Vioxx. As a result of which FDA and other health authorities took action, and Merck had to then withdraw Vioxx in 2004. Now, this essentially meant that there were a lot of lawsuits because in the regulated worlds in US, Europe, and Japan, people have the privilege to do the lawsuits if the company's drug is causing severe adverse events. This resulted in Merck having to pay billions of dollars as lawsuit settlement. And in my view, that really changed the way people started looking at ADR reporting. Every pharma company realized the impact of this important aspect of patient safety, and not doing a good amount of reporting or not making sure that information is available can have financial losses. So from that point onwards, if you look at it, regulations have become stringent. Pharma companies have ensured that they have the PV department. The PV systems are being inspected regularly by health authorities. When I was at Novartis, health authorities were inspecting us practically every year, different parts of the world, different health authorities inspecting to check our PV system. So for all of the large pharma, the health authorities are doing that. So this essentially means that the focus on patient safety has tremendously increased in the last 20 years. And that's a very good sign, because at the end of the day, we know that these drugs are being taken by patients, and if patients are getting impacted, it's important for us to make sure that we do the right steps to minimize that impact, or in certain cases, prevent that impact. So that's really, I would say, the theme as far as ADR reporting is concerned. Next slide, please. Now, if you look at what is the role of pharmacovigilance in patient safety, why is it important? Why is it becoming so important? Why is it that we've got so many people working globally in pharmacovigilance? The first one, and the most important in my view, is early detection. Now, if you look at the Vioxx instance, it took about a couple of years to get all of the information and then, identify the signal and then act upon it. In today's world, where technology is so fast, and I was just talking about the antibiotic story, now it essentially means that with the use of technology, with the use of various tools that we have, there is an element of early detection. It helps us to get information pretty early on. And it also ensures that there is continuous monitoring. Once the drug is launched in the market, you continue to monitor it to make sure that if there are any signals arising, you can act upon it immediately. The other important element over here is risk management. How are we proactively doing risk assessment and management plans? In the past, I think it was more about, reactive, all right, there is an instance which has happened. Now we need to create a risk management plan. Of late, and I would say in the last 5-10 years, pharmacovigilance has become very proactive. I was at a conference at London earlier this year, and we had all of the healthcare professionals and industry leaders, and we were talking about how can we use more of these tools and technologies, real-world evidence and real-world data to make pharmacovigilance more proactive. That's really where the leaders are now driving the industry to say, patient safety has to be the most important element of the pharmacovigilance system. And if we want to make sure that happens, our overall approach to PV has to change from being reactive to more proactive. So, and that's where risk management comes in. It ensures that proactively you are preventing the risk that could happen to patient safety. Obviously, regulatory compliance is important. Health authorities have stringent timelines. They've ensured that the pharma companies report ADRs on time, including signals. But at the same time, it's also important to have good quality of data. It's not just about reporting anything. It's about ensuring that the data that you have has the right information, has the right assessment. So the regulatory compliance, timely reporting, communication with authorities, communication with the rest of the organization, and the quality of data are playing an important role. Now, when you look at post-marketing surveillance, collecting the real-world data for ongoing safety evaluation is the key. Getting the actual information. During clinical trials, the product is in a controlled environment. The chances of adverse event are there. Obviously, you get that information, but there is a huge element of once it is available in the real world, what could be the impacts which we have not been able to identify in the clinical trial. So it's very important that that real world data is assessed for ongoing safety evaluation. One of the important elements which is happening predominantly in countries like India, if you look at it, and I've worked in India for 17 years, I think there is a lot of education, communication happening. Obviously, there's need to do more. You're training the healthcare professionals, patients are getting informed, and now with the use of social media and technology, patients are much more educated. I mean, I was telling this instance, my grandmother who's 90-year-old, I was giving her a medicine some about a year back, and the first question she asked me is, what are the adverse events associated with this? And my grandmother is a person who's not gone to like college, she's done her school education, but nothing beyond that. So the awareness has happened increase, especially if you look at after COVID, people have become aware that there are adverse events that happen with the drug. And somebody of my grandmother's age, as asking that question really impressed me that people are started thinking about that. People are asking what's happening, why this is happening. So that education and communication is making sure that patients are more aware. And it also ensures that healthcare professionals, people like us from the industry, are making an effort to educate people in the right direction. It also prevents, misuse of drug, overuse of drug, and things like that. Benefit risk evaluation, as you know, pharmacovigilance is all about benefit risk, whether a drug is giving the benefit, whether it has the risk or not. That assessment, updates to the label, and actions thereof is the key as far as pharmacovigilance is concerned. And the last one on the slide, if you see it, is more about international collaboration. There is a need to continue to collaborate globally on how to share the data, how to use the processes. I mean, if you look at, for example, US, Europe, Japan, all of the developing countries, developed countries, there's a lot of collaboration that's happening within the industry, within the pharma organizations to share data, use best practices, and ensure that patient safety is taken care of. So the overall intention is how do we use various processes, efficient tools to be able to collaborate better globally and ensure the final outcome, which is really patient safety. Next slide, please. Yeah. So one of the important elements is what are the pharmacovigilance trends? Globally, what's happening in pharmacovigilance? Why is it that we are talking so much about pharmacovigilance of late? Like I said, after Vioxx, a lot of activities have been happening, but the last 5-6 years, I would say pharmacovigilance is changing rapidly, and the reason for that is multiple over here. If you see now, if you see on the top hand slide over here, I'm talking about areas like quality and process excellence. The health authorities, obviously, like I said, they are inspecting the pharma organizations. They are making sure that every pharma company has a robust PV system. And that PV system should not only deliver information on time, but it should also be quality information. It should not just be a piece of information, but really quality, scientific assessed data. So that element of quality is there. The standard operating procedures, the processes, everything should have the right quality and compliance. In the last 5, 7, 10 years, what's happening is pharma companies are relooking at their processes. They are relooking at, are there any processes which can become more efficient? Is there an element of reducing the steps which do not make any sense? If there are changes in regulations, can there be an element of making these processes more robust? So a lot of emphasis is now happening in process excellence. That's where, the concept of Six Sigma, lean, reducing the waste comes in. How can we make our processes better? The intention is not only to remove the redundant activities, but also to bring in better quality and compliance. So quality and process compliance or regulatory excellence are actually going hand in hand in terms of the areas where we should improve the PV processes and make it more efficient with the ultimate intention of patient safety. And that also is very important because within PV, if you look at it, the volume of adverse event reporting is increasing continuously, especially in the global scenario, global pharma. On an average, about 12 to 15% increase in volumes is happening every year. Now, with that increase in volume, it is important that you are able to have the right processes to be able to, not only process the cases, but also identify the right signals. So from that perspective, quality and process excellence is gaining a lot of importance. And if you have that experience, I think there is definitely a lot of opportunities in this space. On the bottom, you will see here about digital transformation, data, and analytics, and I put these two together because in a way they are very linked. Now, many a times you will hear people talking about artificial intelligence, generative AI, and these are very important elements of how PV is going to change in the next 4-5 years. Technology and the transformation that's happening will pretty much change how PV is being done today because it has changed. So my stance has always been that in the last 20 years, there has been transformation. It's not that this transformation is new. There has been transformation, but the transformation has been very slow in the sense of, use of newer technologies. To give you an example, when I started my career in pharmacovigilance way back in 2006, 2007, during those days, we used to get paper cases which used to actually be by somebody from the US, Europe. My team used to come to office. They used to download those faxes, and then they used to start processing them onto a database, and then they used to be submitted through another database. So there was a lot of paperwork. There was a lot of manual effort that used to happen. But over the last 20 years, PV has become fairly a paperless department. There's a lot of paperwork in the past, but there's no paper use now. Everything is digital. Everything is technology. We've got strong global safety databases like Argus. IQVIA has their own platform, IVP. So these databases are ensuring that all of the information gets entered into the system directly. There's no need for any manual effort on that. Plus the element of bringing in advanced technologies. In 2017 we started with robotic process automation, which was really looking at many of these structured sources of information, structured adverse drug reaction reports, to be put into a format through the use of bots, which would allow that the manual effort can be less. So we were pretty successful by implementing those RPAs when I was at Novartis, where we worked with different companies to put that in place. It brought in about 15% efficiency, where for the structured data, the efforts got reduced. So digital transformation has been happening for the last 20 years. Over the last 4-5 years, it has picked up speed. Now we are really talking about how we can use machine learning for sources of information that's coming from literature, from social media. We're talking about how we could use artificial intelligence, generative AI. We're talking about augmented artificial intelligence. We're not talking about AI as a whole only. We're talking about, can we use artificial intelligence under the oversight of human beings to bring in the transformation that's required. So this is really the future and the game changer. And the next 4 or 5 years, you will see a lot of emphasis on this element. Now, one of the important questions that anybody will ask is, with this digital transformation, are there going to be less jobs? To which my answer has always been that what I've seen in the last 20 years, from this transformation, actually the number of jobs have increased. There is more requirement of highly skilled people. There is more requirement of people to understand pharmacovigilance and technology both. When 20 years back when I started, it was important to know what is pharmacovigilance. But today, in our roles, it's important to know how technology is going to change pharmacovigilance. In my role currently, when I talk to customers, I talk about how the technology is shaping up. So I have built that, expertise in technology over a period of time. So when you enter into pharmacovigilance in your roles, it's very important for you to not only understand the niche element of pharmacovigilance, the skills required for that, but also how is technology shaping that? Another important element which I just spoke about was data and analytics. Now, in pharmacovigilance, over the last several years, there's a whole lot of data which has come in. We've collected a lot of data. There is big data. There is data which is being utilized to identify adverse events. There is a need for us to do analytics on this data, create those data sets, identify what data makes sense, and from that data, really take the right decisions in the forward. So, long back, I remember this was like about 15 years back, we started working on forecasting tools, how we could forecast what will be the volume of adverse events year on year. And we didn't do very well because it was that point of time we didn't have so many tools, technologies, we didn't have artificial intelligence and things like that. So it didn't work very well. But today, those things are a reality because of the availability of technology. You can use that technology to have the right data set tools and then be able to do the analysis, be able to present the data in something that makes a lot of meaningful sense. So that's going to continue to play an important role. On the right side, if you see of this the chart, there is an important element of organization culture and talent management. Now, if you look at it, PV is an area where you really need to have expertise, and this expertise takes time to build. It's not that in a few months you can be an expert in pharmacovigilance. It takes years of hard work, smart work, and practice to be able to understand PV in totality. So companies of late have ensured that they are investing in the right kind of people. They're hiring the right people. They are developing the right people, and people are being developed not only in the sense of the knowledge, but also in terms of the technology skills, because they need to be upgraded every couple of years with what's happening with the regulations, what's happening with technology. So pharma companies, clinical research organizations, they are investing significant amount of their time and money in identifying talent, developing talent, and then retaining talent. Because once I lose a pharma professional or a PV professional to somebody else, obviously there's an impact on how I run the business. So we are making sure that the talent is managed in an effective way. So there are a lot of training programs, there are a lot of opportunities that we in the pharma industry are giving to our professionals to be able to develop and make their careers. The other important element that has happened in the last few years is the companies are relooking at the organization culture. Gone are those days when the boss of the organization will come and say this is how we should be doing PV. Now it's become very different, where the boss really comes and says, you are the experts. You tell me how we should be managing PV. So the concept has changed. It's become, we hire smart people so that they tell us what is to be done, and not the other way around, that the top person tells. So what that is doing is that's bringing in more innovation. We are having a lot of these focus group discussions. We are having sessions where people who are actually doing the work, they come up with brilliant ideas, they come up with collaborative ideas, and that helps us to drive the innovation that's required. So that culture change is a positive step, not only for driving innovation, but also for the employees' engagement in the organization. It's not just about doing your 5 hours or 7 hours of work. It's also about how can you contribute more to the organization in terms of ideas, in terms of thoughts, and people who are able to do that are obviously contributing to the right positive culture. So culture and talent management are pretty much moving in a very positive direction as far as PV is concerned. Another important element is, pharmacovigilance has been outsourced. It's not a area where a pharma company would like to do alone. They obviously want to use the right partners. There are different kinds of partners. You could have IT-enabled organizations like Cognizant, TCS, Accenture. Then you have the large CROs like IQVIA, Parexel, Syneos. So they work with different kinds of organizations depending upon what's the kind of requirement. But in general, it's really an ecosystem which has been created. While the parent or the pharma company really is responsible for PV system as a whole, it utilizes the best of both the worlds in terms of technology, in terms of clinical research capabilities, to create a positive environment of doing PV in the right way. So outsourcing has been a trend. It will continue to be a trend. There will be elements of working with partners to make it more strategic. But what has changed is in the past, the outsourcing was very operational. It was more in the sense of a pharma company thinking that this activity is redundant, is mundane, may not be something makes sense to me. Let's outsource. But today, outsourcing has become strategic. It's become an element of who is my partner with whom I can develop new technologies, with whom I can improve processes, with whom I can give good quality and compliance. So the outsourcing has become to a level where it's more oriented towards partnership and strategic alignment of goals, of objectives, rather than just outsourcing from a operational or tactical perspective. Um, for those of you who've been reading the news, there have been a significant activity in mergers and acquisitions. Last year, some significant acquisitions happened. Big pharma is acquiring biotech companies, companies which have a couple of molecules to strengthen their pipeline. If you've been reading the news, there are some big pharma companies which are looking at strong pipelines of about 15, 20 products in their pipeline. They are spending almost up to 15% of their annual revenue into R&D with the intention of getting safer products to the market. But at the same time, this decade, I think there's going to be a lot of activity in terms of this space, mergers and acquisitions. Now, that is one element where big companies are acquiring smaller companies or smaller biotech. But at the same time, there are companies which are merging to create more organized industries. There are also instances where demergers are happening. For example, I remember in my days, long back, Novartis was actually formed by the merger of Sandoz and Ciba-Geigy. This was in the 1980s, 90s. But recently, if you've seen, Novartis has actually broken into three different groups, Sandoz, Alcon, and Novartis, each one of them specializing in their specific areas, bringing in the value that's required for the patients there. So mergers, acquisitions, and demergers is an important trend. Now, what does this mean? This means a lot of opportunities in the space of PV. We are really looking at different PV systems, creating those elements that are required to ensure patient safety, but at the same time, giving opportunities to people to work in these specific areas. One important element about pharmacovigilance for any pharma company or any clinical research organization is the budget. Now, PV, if you look at it, is an area where it's focused on patient safety, and it's a very important element. So companies have to invest budget out of their overall revenue into this space. So there is budget available, but many a times, these budgets are constrained. You have to manage within existing budgets, and that's where companies are focusing on how technology can help to manage the overall global PV activities within the existing budget. How can more innovation and more automation be brought in so that the actual cost of doing pharmacovigilance is not as high and you can still manage within the existing budget? So a lot of this is driven really by ensuring that you have the right budgets, you have the right technology, and then you have the right set of people to drive this organization into the right direction. Next slide, please. So I already covered some of this. There is an increased focus on quality, compliance, and quality management system from the health authorities. There is a requirement of audits and inspection readiness. That's a trend. Process enhancements, changes, and improvements are going to be an important trend for the next few years, making sure that people are really looking at their processes in the right way and bringing in that efficiency. Adoption of technology and tools, my colleague Mujib is going to cover in details in terms of what's happening from a technology perspective, but I also have a few slides talking about areas to look on. But, the technology and data analytics is going to play an important role in the next few years. And the last one, which I said, was organization culture. For me, I think in PV, people are always the most important element, because no matter how much of technology and tools we have, there is a need for us to have the right set of people, the right mindset of people, people who work for patient safety, and people who are agile enough to upgrade themselves to learn and, really give back to the industry. And then I spoke about change management and how mergers, acquisitions, and integrations are playing their part in terms of the overall progress of the industry in the right direction. Next slide, please. Many of the challenges, and I always believe that challenges are an opportunity. If we thought 20 years back that working on a database doing PV is going to be a challenge, today if you look at it, that's become an opportunity because we have safety databases. There is a lot of innovation that we can do to ensure that patient reporting is done in an accurate way and that information is then assessed in the right way. So if you look at it, there have been challenges in requirement of skilled resources, retention of talent, people development needs, which has actually resulted in an opportunity of having the right organization culture, building the right culture within the company so that you get the right resources and you train and develop them. Similarly, there have been challenges in the standard operating procedures, better quality and compliance, the need for better productivity. This is now resulting into an opportunity of how we can bring in the element of operational excellence, how we can really relook at the processes and make them much more effective than what they were in the past. Adoption of technology was initially thought because we wanted to reduce the cost per transaction, we wanted to improve efficiency, and what we have done now is really an element of expedited digital transformation, which is ensuring that we are able to achieve this in an effective way. Uh, Moving on to the PV technologies, and I will just quickly touch upon them. If you look at it, I was talking about safety databases. In the past, a lot of work was manual, was done through paper, but safety databases have changed the way PV happens. Argus was one of them. IQVIA Vigilance Platform is another important one. What these databases are really doing are they are helping us in tracking and analyzing the data to identify the potential safety concerns. And there is a lot of technology advancements happening on top of the safety databases, including artificial intelligence, including generative AI, which is helping these safety databases to become more efficient. The next important trend really is electronic health records and medical records. Now, in the past, I think we used to have a lot of records, but no one's really looking at these records to see whether it is making sense or not. But now, with the digitization of these records, the medical histories, the treatments, and the outcomes, they are providing very valuable data. And when we are analyzing the large sets of these data, they are helping us to detect the trends and patterns which are related to adverse events. So these records and these data sets are helping us to create a good amount of information as far as adverse event is concerned. Another important element of why ADR reporting is becoming very important. Next slide, please. If you look at data mining and text analytics, I already covered it. It's not just about collecting data. It's about how we can use the advanced data mining and text analytic techniques to extract valuable insights, especially from large volume of unstructured data like medical literature, clinical notes, online discussions. And natural language processing is actually helping us to automate the extraction and analysis of this information. Now, once we are able to extract this, the next step obviously becomes how we use the analytics to be able to make the right decisions related to adverse events. So data mining and text analytics will continue to play its role. There have been a development in signal detection tools. There are multiple signal detection tools available. And these are the tools which are helping us to statistically identify the safety signals from PV databases. So they will continue to help us with detecting the unusual patterns, the trends, adverse events. And what's happening is there's a lot of effort being put into these signal detection tools being much more accurate, much more realistic, and much more advanced in the future. So that trend is going to continue to happen. Next slide, please. Machine learning and AI, I think all of you must be reading about it. If somebody is not read about it, please read about machine learning and artificial intelligence, how the algorithms, how the generative AI and augmented artificial intelligence are helping us to improve the PV processes. These are not only automating the signal detection, but they are also prioritizing the safety concerns. And I spoke about how we could be more proactive. It is actually predicting the adverse events based on the historical data, which is essentially what the industry wants to do, move from a reactive pharmacovigilance to more of a proactive pharmacovigilance. Wearable devices are going to play an important role. Mobile applications are playing an important role, companies are coming up with products which have QR codes, and you could just with the help of an app scan it and report any adverse event. There are wearable devices where which could really track what are the adverse events occurring from the use of a product. So this real-time reporting is actually helping us with data collection and improving the overall accuracy of pharmacovigilance data. So this is going to be a very important trend in the next 4 or 5 years. Next slide, please. There is a lot of data sharing and collaboration platforms. I already spoke about, why it is important for us to collaborate at a global level. Why is it that the industry needs to work together? Because there is so much amount of data, and the intention being patient safety. It's important that, the various organizations, various groups work with each other. But in order for us to work effectively, there's a need for us to have good collaboration platforms. So one of the benefits of the cloud-based solutions is that we have good platforms, we have good collaboration tools, which helps us not only to share the data, but also to be able to analyze the data through the use of different stakeholders. And this also includes regulatory agencies, pharmaceutical companies, and healthcare providers. The data sharing and collaboration platforms are going to continue to be evolved. They are going to continue to be more advanced, so that the overall intention of this collaboration improves. So that's a trend to watch out for all of us. Blockchain has been an important technology intervention. How can blockchain bring in that transparent and secure nature in order for us to enhance the traceability and authenticity of pharmacovigilance data? This is going to be a very important trend. This will not only ensure the integrity of data, prevent tampering, but also improve the transparency of safety information, which is important because when we are dealing with patient safety, the integrity and the safety and the transparency of the data is equally important. So blockchain is going to play a very important role there. Next slide, please. And my last couple of technologies, and the reason why I put that these 10, there are multiple other things that is happening, but the reason I put these 10 is that we as individuals should all be aware of these 10 technologies that is really shaping the future of PV. Automated reporting systems have gained a lot of prominence. In the past, the reportings were, in a way, I'm talking about 20 years back, were not very automated, not very systematic. But of late, globally, the pharma companies are using automated processes of generating and submitting the PV reports. That's going to happen in the developing countries as well, so that the regulatory authorities can get them in real time, and this will ensure the compliance with reporting requirements. The eventual effect being that if there is any untoward information coming from this, can that be impacted or can that be affected in real time, ensuring patient safety? So that automated reporting systems are going to continue to be developed further. The last one is really data visualization tools. I spoke a lot about collecting data, analyzing data, but for us to be able to make meaningful decisions out of that, it's important for us to visualize the data in the right way. It does not make sense for me to throw an Excel sheet in front of people and say, analyze what you want. It's important that I have a tool which picks out the data from that Excel sheet, creates meaningful graphs and charts and interactive dashboards, so that with that dashboard, the leadership or the team who's required to take a decision in that space can evaluate and take the right decision. So a lot of effort is happening on putting in the right data visualization tools. We already have some great tools, but there's also an effort of how we could make this more advanced so that the organization and the leaders can take the right decisions as far as data is concerned. So that was pretty much my last slide. I hope I've been trying to give you an essence of what's happening from a pharmacovigilance global perspective. Many of these will actually imply to the Indian pharma industry as well as we progress in terms of ensuring the right ADR reporting, in terms of ensuring patient safety. But I think the priority that remains is how do we ensure we collect ADRs, we assess them, and we prevent any adverse events, or we prevent the humans getting impacted due to severe adverse events. So that's really the crux of what we are trying to achieve as an industry. Thank you. Thank you for a patient listening, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Yeah, Ramya madam, we are open for questions. Any questions anyone have? Gurpreet sir is happy to answer it. But thank you, sir. It was wonderful story which has been given. A lot of information.
Thank you. Thank you.
So students, if you have any questions, you can post in your in the YouTube session, in the comments in YouTube.
Yeah.
Mujib sir, please check if there are any.
Yeah. I'm able to see there are no questions as of now. So, but definitely, I think one question which has been asked, Gurpreet sir already have touched it.
Yes, sir.
Sir, what do you think that technology is going to take our jobs, or technology is going to create new jobs? So what is your takeaway on this?
See, I've been in this industry for 19 plus years, and I think what technology has actually done is it's added more jobs. And I'm not saying that it's added jobs, redundant jobs. It's added more highly skilled jobs, and that's going to happen. You may have artificial intelligence, but you still need people to manage the artificial intelligence. So anybody who's concerned that will not have jobs, I think you should just leave that concern aside. It's important for you to be upskilled. Make sure that you develop the skills not only from a science perspective but also from a tech perspective. And there are plenty of opportunities in this space. And with all of this transformation, I see that the need for highly skilled and people with the right agility has increased even more.
Yeah. I think one more question students are putting it in this is, what are the other skills apart from educational background they would require? Any other skill sets they want to improve it?
See, I think if you look at it, not only, so like I said, science is obviously one area. You need to understand the pharmacology, the biology behind how we should be doing PV. Technology is an important element. The other important element is really communication skills, because it's a global village now. We are working with different communities, different people. It's important for us to be able to communicate. And I don't mean communication doesn't mean speaking great English. It means about really being able to talk what you want to really express. So that's important. It's important to be collaborative, because most of these things are multi-department. You have to work with multiple department, multiple people. So how do you really bring in that collaboration? And I think one of the most important skills I feel is also about how you can influence, how you can really be able to, come up with ideas which can be innovative and which you could present, and you could influence the industry. So anybody who has that innovative skills of coming up with newer ideas, improving processes, stands to gain a lot of prominence in the industry.
Yeah, I think one more question is, how can we get into pharmacovigilance? So where can we find out the opportunities, and how can we get into the job in pharmacovigilance? That's one more question.
See, one of the things which I've realized is, like I said, in the last 15, 20 years, the industry has evolved. In the first, when I joined my first company, Cognizant, in 2007, and I was interviewing people, there was hardly anybody in the industry in India who understood PV. So what we did was we actually hired, fresh people who had no idea about PV. We trained them for a period of 6 months to 1 year before they could actually perform the work in PV. This was like 2007. Things have changed now. In 20 years, there are so many good academies, institutes which can train you on PV, on clinical research. It is very important for us to understand pharmacovigilance. If you are able to get that training, understanding, it becomes a very value addition for you when you actually go for an interview, right? Because you're competing with people who already know PV, right? So it's very important to now get that PV skills, understand, the databases, how to process cases. And then I think obviously all of these big companies in India, I think I was doing that math with somebody. We have at least 20, 25 big companies which are hiring PV professionals on a regular basis. You need to apply to them, you need to get through the interviews, get selected. And obviously, there are various other channels where you have network and you can actually be a part of conferences and events and build that network and apply. So I think India PV ecosystem has evolved, and there are a lot of opportunities for, again, the agile people and people who really want to make a career.
So I think Gurpreet sir, as you have said rightly, that earlier days we never used to have a lot of opportunity to speak with industry experts and big years of experience. But now industry people are coming forward, and students are very lucky to listen to sessions like you, how the pharmacovigilance is evolving and what are the skill sets and what is the future, how technology is impacting the pharmacovigilance. Thank you so much, sir. I think we have taken so much of questions. Thank you so much for providing your time.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, sir, if you wanted to stay in this, it's fine, or else you can continue your meetings and other things, sir.
So we have vote of thanks to be proposed,
Yes,
sir.
Ramya ma'am, you can go ahead with vote of
Yes,
thanks.
sir.
Thank
I
you.
request Sai Swapna ma'am, Assistant Professor from Department of Pharmacy Practice, to propose vote of thanks.
As we come to the conclusion of today's first session, which is very insightful and thought-provoking webinar. I am Dr. T. Sai Swapna, Assistant Professor, Vikas Institute of Pharmaceutical Sciences, taking privilege to deliver the vote of thanks for today's session on behalf of our organization and our management. First and foremost, I would like to express our heartfelt gratitude to our esteemed speaker, Mr. Gurpreet Singh, sir, Vice President and Managing Director of Integrated Safety at IQVIA. Your valuable insights and contributions have truly enriched our understanding the critical role of pharmacovigilance in patient safety. The knowledge you have shared on notable withdrawal drugs and early detection and risk management and pharmacovigilance trends and technologies has all provided all of our students and us with a deeper insight into the future of essential field. Your vast experience and forward-thinking ideas will undoubtedly inspire all of the participants to continue striving for excellence in pharmacovigilance sector. And we are deeply thankful for your time and expertise you shared with us today, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. And it was really great talking to all of you. I really wish you all the best for your future, students. And please feel free to connect with me if you require any further information. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Gurpreet sir.
Thank you so much for your time, sir.
Thank you.
Ramya madam, we can continue.
Yes, sir. So now let us continue with our second session. So before we start with our second session, let me introduce our speaker for the day, for the second session for the day, that is Mr. C.S. Mujibuddin, sir. So sir is highly accomplished professional with an impressive educational background, holding both an MPharm and MSc in clinical research from Manipal University. He has established himself as a leading figure in the clinical research industry. Now, with over 15 years of experience in the field, Sir has worked in various esteemed organizations such as QPS, Paraxel, Accenture, Oracle, and IKEA. His extensive knowledge and expertise has allowed him to excel in his roles and contribute significantly to the industry. Now, driven by his passion for teaching, Mujibuddin Sir has founded his own organization, Clinosol Research Private Limited. Through this, he has been able to train and mentor numerous aspiring professionals in different domains of clinical research, which have resulted in successful placement of over 1,000 students since 2019, making them skilled and career-ready individuals. Now, under his leadership, Clinosol has received remarkable success and recognition. The organization has received 9 prestigious awards, a testament to its commitment to excellence and innovation in clinical research skill development domain. So before we start with the session, sir, first of all, we'd like to congratulate your organization for being honored the Best Pharmacovigilance Training Organization Award, which was very recently given, like yesterday it was given, presented at Sindhu Hospital, sir. So hearty congratulations from VIPS family, sir.
Thank you, madam. Thank you so much.
And so I now hand over the session to Mujib, sir, on the topic Digital Innovations and Pharmacovigilance. The session is yours, sir.
Thank you so much for your wishes, and I'm very happy one more time I'm in Vikas because Vikas is like my family. So always I'm excited to come offline or online. So because of the lack of time, we have planned very short notice this 4th National Pharmacovigilance Week. So my topic is digital innovation in pharmacovigilance, how pharmacovigilance was earlier, how it is now currently in digital innovation, and what would be the future of pharmacovigilance. So that's something which I'm going to discuss. So the first question is, what happened in traditional PV processes? So traditionally, the pharmacovigilance was conducted on papers. So it was being manually entered. The data used to be entered into the databases manually, and the reports were being sent either by telegrams or by post or by writing in papers, and then we used to submit the pharmacovigilance cases. But now that was a lot of challenges in traditional PV processes. And what are those list of challenges which we have got with the traditional pharmacovigilance practices? So that's something which we are going to discuss first thing. So the first challenge which was there in traditional pharmacovigilance process was manual data entry and processes. It took a lot of time that we used to get a case, and then manually we have to enter and we have to process a case. So now say, for example, a person has reported a case in a pharmacovigilance, adverse event in a pharmacovigilance. So manually we have to see the case and enter the case saying that, okay, patient details are this, drug is this, adverse event is this, reported details is this, seriousness criteria is this. So manually we used to enter a lot of data and we used to process the case. So that is the biggest work which we had, manual data entry. The second one is the increasing volume of ADR reports. So already Gurpreet sir has said that now the increased amount of adverse events are being reported by everyone. So a lot of people came to know that if you take a drug, there might be a possibility that you will get an adverse event and it can be reported. So now pharmacovigilance companies have got so much of amount of adverse event data, and the volume has increased drastically. So, but when you had traditional pharmacovigilance system, it was very difficult. It is very difficult to process the cases. Now, increased volumes of ADR report has made challenges. Now, the third one is a delayed signal. So now there is an unknown adverse event which is forming or happening in a particular patient population, in a particular race, or in a particular gender, or in particular age groups. Then identifying the signals were earlier was very difficult. So because it was not in a global village, earlier it was not a global village, that reporting systems were fast and technology was being used to identify, to detect the unexpected adverse drug reactions in a particular zone or a particular patient population. It was very, very difficult, and delayed signal detection was there. And the last one is, it used to be lot of resource intensive process. You need to have a lot of people inside the pharmacovigilance team to process a particular case, as to identify signals, or to work on aggregate reporting, or to give analytics or visualization or predictions or generatives. All those things were very difficult in traditional pharmacovigilance process. Now, then we got something which is called as the digital innovation. So now we got digital transformations. Now everything is digitalized. We are using digital platforms, medias, social medias, or databases, artificial intelligence, machine learning, predictive analysis, or generative analysis, or big data, or blockchain technology. We have almost all technologies together where we are using digital transformation of data to be collected from the patients, analyzed in a proper way, identifying the unexpected adverse events before it occurs, or before it gives a bigger problem. We identify the data and we analyze the data and we give a prevention plans for possible adverse events. Now, the digitalization transformation, what are the biggest benefit? The first one is automation. So now once you make the automation, there is a manual data entry which is reduced, and we can increase the speed of the pharmacovigilance cases, and also increase the efficiency of pharmacovigilance process, and we can reduce the human errors or human work. So that's the first point. So automation, make sure the speed is increased, the efficiency is increased, the quality is increased, money is reduced. So many things automation can do it. So now digital transformation, the first point, which is benefit, is automation. The second one is the accuracy in data collection and analysis will be the highest amount of data. So now say, for example, the quality of data, which is earlier in traditional way, was very difficult. But now with electronic systems and digital transformations, the accuracy in data collection and also the analysis has increased so much drastically, and digital transformation has given so much of opportunities for us for data quality. The third one is real-time signal detections. So now identifying a signal before it occurs. Now say, for example, thalidomide tragedy has given 10,000 death or 10,000 focomelia. Why first child was, when born, was not being identified? Because the real-time data signal detection was not there. Real-time, the first patient was not reported, and we were unable to identify that there is a relationship between your drug thalidomide and focomelia. So that's something which was not there. But digital transformation has made that real-time signal detection can be done. And the fourth one is the better regulatory compliance. So you have timeline saying that within 10 days, you have to report it, and you go on to the system and do a programming, and then system will give a pop-up saying that you have 3 days to go to submit this report, 2 days to go to submit this report, so that you don't miss a regulatory timelines and you have the better regulatory compliance. And regulatory bodies will ask you that I need all this particular data. So can you give this data in this format? So now why should we come and sit together and work rather than system giving a format and also within the timeline as per regulatory authorities is something the benefit for digital transformation. So now what are the benefits? Automations, accuracies, a real-time data signal, and last one is better regulatory compliance. Now, where the digital transformation, digital innovation in pharmacovigilance came into picture. The first one is adverse event reporting. So now whenever adverse events are being reported all together, now say for example, paracetamol has given 10,000 adverse event in a one day. So how can you understand about the adverse event report generation? Out of this 10,000, how many were related to drug, how many were not related to drug, how many were expected, how many were unexpected, how many were serious, how many were severe, how many non-serious, how many non-severe, and out of this, which are the cases which are more focused cases in particular zone and special interest. This kind of things are very confusing. For one day, you have 10,000 adverse event. For 10 days, how many adverse event? So this is all things which is called as adverse event reporting by using automations like AI and ML and NLP programmings. How can you make sure the understanding of adverse event report generation by using AI and NLP, which is natural language process? So that's the first point. The second point, signal detection and management. So identifying an adverse event which is causing more problem is called as signal. So any adverse event which is more problematic, which is serious and unexpected and related, which has not been identified earlier, which has not been put into drug label is called a signal. How can you identify, detect a signal, manage a signal? Tomorrow, any point in time, if you put a word saying that I got this adverse event, earlier any adverse event was there, it can go and check the library and give back saying that, okay, this kind of a patient's got this adverse event. Is this the same kind of adverse event you have got? So we will understand that how many patients in particular age groups or gender groups or race groups are getting this adverse events, or which area of diseases, because it's a polypharmacy. It's not one drug is being taken by one patient. It is one patient taking 10 drugs together, 10 disease together, and it might not be a rational use of a drug. We might say that you take with 240 ml of water, but we really don't know before food, after food, how, what was the situation, condition, everything. Make sure that drug is giving adverse event or drug is giving outcome, which is clinical outcome. So all this together, you have signal detection and also management, which you have ML. ML algorithms will be there. There is a programming languages which you can write to understand large data sets, because we are in global village. There's so much of huge amount of data which is coming up, which is large data sets, which is one more time, which is called as Hadoop or big data analytics. So how can we use large data and identify the problems before it occurs in the patients is your signal detection or signal management in the aspects. Now, the third one is the case processing. So now case processing, earlier we used to get the case, one side database. You see the case, you enter the database. So this was earlier. But now we have got something which is called as a robotic process automation, wherein the data is being read by the system itself. Directly, it is being entered into the system. It is being transferred into the system by the PDF into the database. Now, the amount of work which is the initial data entry has done has reduced. That's something which we have to understand. The data entry can be reduced. And the second one is the coding. So Medra coding can be reduced because most of terms are being coded automatically unless and until it's a new disease or a new condition or a new adverse event or a new drug which is not being there in Medra dictionary, then its coding is difficult. So how can you make sure that the coding is being happening properly without manual data entry, with robotic process automations? And also, how can you prioritize a case? So the case prioritization will depend on seriousness, unexpectedness, relatedness, and based on special interest or based on a particular age group or gender group or race group. So how can you prioritize? How can you avoid manual data entry? How can you avoid manual coding? Can be done by using case processing, which is RPA process. The fourth one is data integration. So there are so much of data. There are so much of data which is coming. So including your EHR data, EMR data, prescription data, adverse event reporting data, polypharmacy data, lab data, adverse event data. So much of data is there. And all together, the data integration, the polypharmacy integration can be done by using big data platforms or by using cloud computing or cloud solutions. So how can you integrate from multiple sources? Because patient gets a disease. So first condition you have to get is patient demography. The second one is EHR and EMR. The third one is prescription report. The fourth one is pharmacy report. The fifth one is insurance report. The sixth one is lab reports. The seventh one is how the patient compliance. And eighth one is the follow-up of the patient. So much of data is surrounding to it. How we can integrate the whole amount of data and understand about the data and give your processing of particular data. So which is called as data integration, use of big data platforms and also cloud solutions, because earlier we used to say that data is huge and we have to have big storage conditions. But now every data is being submitted or every data is being archived in cloud solutions or cloud computing. So now one more is electronic reporting platforms. So how can you report a case by zero paper? So it is one more time, it is called as decarbonization. How can you safeguard the paper and how can you avoid the more important environment damage? Because if you want to write in a paper, you are damaging the environment. The second one is if you write in a paper, you have to take a scan and then you have to upload it, you have to send it. So how can you report by using electronic platforms? Say, for example, you developed an app, mobile app, or you developed a website portal, or you developed a chatbot, which is now, I think ChatGPT is a chatbot. So you develop the chatbot or app or website where patients can directly report the cases. So that is something which is called as electronic reporting platforms. Now you have to collect the data by using mobile apps, web portals, and also chatbots for very faster, more convenient reporting by HCPs and also patients. Now, there are some challenges that patients will not be able to report by using chatbots or by using websites or by using your mobile apps, but once they have got addicted to it. So now ChatGPT, everyone said that we will not be able to use it. We don't know how to use ChatGPT. But now everyone is using ChatGPT and everyone is able to make sure that ChatGPT is being used properly for reporting. And the last one, social media monitoring. So now most of the youngsters are in social media. Everyone is in Instagram. So either one or the other way, you are using Instagram in entertainment way, but Instagram or Snapchat or WhatsApp or Facebook or LinkedIn or Twitter can be used for reporting of adverse event. There are groups where you can start putting saying that I have taken this drug and I got this adverse event. Can someone suggest that is this adverse event is related? So now how companies can identify those adverse events which are being not reported directly to the manufacturer or MAH or a sponsor, and they are going and putting in social media is something which we can do it with the digital transformation or with the digital tool. So algorithms can be used to scan all the social medias wherein they are mentioning your drug name and drug related adverse event or adverse reaction. How can you make sure that social media monitoring can be used or algorithms can be used to scan the social medias to mention the drug related side effects and also drug related reactions? Now, one more very important thing, artificial intelligence. So how we can use artificial intelligence where we can put all the data to the system and system will suggest if you put an adverse event, say that, okay, is this a signal? System will go and search in the system saying that, okay, is this adverse event earlier happened or not? So because it has learned, we have given algorithms where the system has learned by itself and can identify, can predict, can put analytics into the system and give you proper responses. That's your artificial intelligence. Now you can identify the patterns of ADRs. So you can identify patterns of ADR saying that in a particular region or in a particular climate, what diseases we are getting, in a particular zone, what adverse events we are getting, in a particular patient group, what adverse event we are getting. So large data sets like EHR, electronic health records or registries, we can get a lot of information about real-time data or real-time we can use for signal management. So now the second one is real-time signal monitoring. So we can have the real-time signal monitoring because once the data is entered and processed, you can identify all those things. The biggest benefit of AI, faster detection, accuracy has been increased, and earlier warning systems. So you don't need to wait that, okay, we will identify this disease later on, because system will identify the diseases, system will identify the problems and will give it to you earlier warning systems, so that we understand the potential safety issues of the system. So AI for signal detection can be used. One of the most important thing, blockchain technology for transparency and the traceability. So you have QR codes, you have the blockchain technology, the authentication of the data which is in ADR report can be traceable, can be auditable, and also reporting process, the whole process, how the data is being crossing, how data is being received, you can identify very easily by using blockchain technology for transparency and also traceability. The biggest benefit, enhanced security, transparency, and risk of data manipulation. You don't have data manipulation for this. So now the next one is predictive analytics. How you can use it, predictive analytics for proactive PV. So the predictions are being done based on the data which has been analyzed, and you will get the answers. So analyze the past safety data, including the clinical trial, post-marketing surveillance, spontaneous reports to identify the patterns and trends associated with ADRs. Now, grouping of patients in risk-based categories based on predictive models. Now, predictions will be given saying that, okay, this age group who are taking these medications are more at risk. They can give these adverse events. They can have this kind of problems. So they can create a models that can have potential long-term effects, drug based on early trial data and real-world evidences. Now, what is real-world data? So this is one more very important topic, real-world data and real-world evidence, because the future jobs will be on more on real-world data and real-world evidence studies. Now, this is particularly used when patient is not in a controlled study, but patient is taking a drug and he is coming back to the doctor and giving adverse events or providing more information about the outcome of the clinical aspects of the patient. Then it is called as real world data. It's not clinical trials, it's not the pharmacovigilance, but real world evidence studies, RW studies are being conducted for patient who is taking for a longer term drug. So RWD refers or reflects to use of medicinal products in real world settings where patient is directly taking the medications, and they will give broader and comprehensive understanding how drug performs in diverse population and large populations, and data relating to patient health status and delivery of various real-world sources can be collected. RW helps assess how drug performs in routine clinical settings and also controlled conditions of clinical trials. So now, what is the real world data sources? Different sources are there where from you will get real world data. The first one is EHR and EMR. The second one is insurance and claiming and billings and mobile health apps, social media platforms, and pharmacies, healthcare data, and healthcare databases. So all this information can be used for your activity, which is different sources. Now, what are the challenges? So we have learned so much of this, that benefits and how it can be used by using AI, automations, blockchain technology, cloud computing, and the processing like robotic analysis and manual data entry. So much of words we have learned. Now, what are the challenges we have in digitalization in PV? The first one is the data privacy is more concern and security is more concern. Data privacy and security. And the second one is integration of large legacy systems in new technologies. The already systems are there, the traditional systems are there. How can you implement the newer systems with newer technologies, and how can you integrate the older technology with newer technology? And training of PV staff. So to train the PV staff on new technologies is one more big challenge. You have to train the people in technology, and also ensuring regulatory compliance in automated systems. Now, say, for example, you have automated a system, but how you are going to explain this to regulatory compliance and regulatory authorities is something which is more important to be needed. So these are challenges in digitalization. So what is the conclusion overall? So digital transformation is revolutionizing in pharmacovigilance. We have improved efficiencies, accuracies, real-time data monitoring of drug safety. And what is the call of action? Digital tools, you learn, stay ahead, ensuring the patient safety. Report every adverse event electronically, learn electronic systems, understand the advancement of pharmacovigilance, and future is yours. And the future trends, what are the future trends? AI-driven personalized pharmacovigilance, wearable devices like sensors, IoT, Internet of Things for real-time monitoring, integration of genomic data and safety monitorings, advanced analytics and predictive models for drug safety. And this is about follow us Clinosol. So Clinosol can be followed on YouTube channel, LinkedIn, and Instagram. So last two are my LinkedIn and Instagram. So I think I'm open for questions. Any questions you have, you can put it in the YouTube. So I'll be able to answer the questions. I have logged in YouTube already. So most of I'm very thankful for Sindhu Hospital for providing the best pharmacovigilance training for Clinosol. So these are the services. We provide trainings for clinical research, pharmacovigilance, and data management. So we have a lot of academic collaboration and workshops. We give GCP, GMPs, and SAS trainings also. And these are more collaborations. We have crossed more than 1,000 placements, 400 blogs to 20 workshops and 520 presentation and 150 competitions. So our students are more meant for getting 100% placements. So these are our student records, BPharm, MPharm, and MBBS PharmDs. We give admissions, and our students are working in CROs, SMOs, pharma companies, biotechs, and pharma ITs and hospitals. So I think I'm open for questions. This is my last slide. So Ramya madam, if any questions are there, you can ask. So I know that I was quick because it was already 12:20. So I wanted to quickly close this session. So, but I'm open for questions, madam. I'm open for questions.
So there was a question asked, like, sir, do we have any master's program in pharmacovigilance in abroad, or is there any scope of getting job after the master's?
Yeah, we have master's program in pharmacovigilance in abroad and masters in clinical research from I think in US you have a couple of universities, and Europe you have a couple of universities, and more students are going for public health. And you have in India also clinical research and pharmacovigilance programs. And our students are working in US, Europe, Dubai, and Australia also. So we have clinical research jobs everywhere. So directly you cannot go for a job, you have to go for masters. So students have done training under Clinosol, and then they went to different countries to work. Very recently, we had one session for Australian careers. And today we have an alumni who is working in Dubai, who is taking the session. I'll be able to share the Zoom link, madam, if students want to attend this session. One of the alumni has working in Dubai, so he want to take a session for our students. So the highest package for PharmDs we have got was 9.2 lakhs. It happened in 2 years back. One of the students from Vizag have got 9.2 lakhs as a fresher. Highest package for a B Farm was around 7.2 lakhs. So this happened, I think, 1-2 years back. So this year, the openings are less for clinical research, but it's a sluggish, but definitely the things will get changed. We have crossed, I think, 120 jobs this year also, though the jobs were less. Our students have got nearly 120 jobs in different companies. So, but we have opportunities now.
So there was like the general question that was asked by many of our students, sir, like from our side, like they say they have confusion what to opt, like medical coding or pharmacovigilance. Like most of them, they say that in pharmacovigilance market, you don't have jobs now. What they keep on listening. So what do you suggest, sir?
Yeah, because see, the problem here is if you go into the jobs which does not require research oriented, then you will not have a career. So, but the research oriented is something which is pharmacovigilance or clinical research or clinical data management or medical writing. So now medical coding, you don't really require a pharmacy qualification to work in medical coding. Anyone with any qualification can work. Medical coding is not regulated environment. You don't have a CDSCO or FDA or EMEA or MHRA or GCP or GLP or GMP. Medical coding, anyone with any qualification can work. Not necessary that you need to have a particular BPharm or MPharm or a PharmD. And medical coding jobs, why I don't suggest people is because there might be a situation where the medical billing and medical coding jobs might be zero. But clinical research, new drug discovery will never go zero. So whenever the patient is there, you have the molecules. So I don't suggest medical coding for youngsters, like particularly BPharm, MPharm, and PharmDs. I don't suggest. So
Okay, sir. So just seeing if there are any more questions.
yes. Any more questions? I hope my session was okay. So people have enjoyed my session.
So students, if you have any questions, please post in the chat.
Okay. I think no more questions.
Yes, sir. I think you have answered all, like your presentation was a complete one, so didn't had any questions. So now I request again, I welcome T. Sai Swapna ma'am, Department of Pharmacy Practice, to give for a vote of thanks.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's a great pleasure to me to deliver the vote of thanks for today's session. On behalf of entire WIPS management and our students, I would like to express my deepest gratitude, sir. First of all, a heartfelt thanks to our esteemed speaker for today's second session, Mr. C.S. Mujibuddin, founder and CEO of Clinosol Research PVT Ltd, and for taking the time to share the valuable thoughts and the knowledge you have shared regarding challenges in traditional pharmacovigilance process, digital transformation, and areas of digital innovation, sir, which has provided all of us with a deeper insight into the future in this essential field. Your expertise and wisdom has not only enlightened us, but also encouraged us to think deeply about the data management in ADR reporting. And also, we are all leaving this session with a new perspectives and knowledge. Thank you for taking time and sharing your knowledge with us, sir. And a special thanks to our attendees who has taken the time to join on this important occasion. And your active participation and curiosity has made this event very successful. And I would also like to extend my appreciation to the WIPS and Clinisol organization team and the technical supporting staff and those who worked behind the scenes to ensure the smooth execution of this event. Your hard work and dedication has made this webinar a success. As we celebrate National Pharmacovigilance Week, let's today's discussion be a reminder of our shared responsibility towards drug safety and patient care by utilizing the pharmacovigilance opportunities. Let us take forward the lessons learned and continue to collaborate for the safer, healthy healthcare practices. Once again, thank you all for making this webinar a success. We look forward seeing you at future events and continuing this important events more, sir. Thank you for your valuable time, sir. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Thank you, Ramya madam. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Yes, thank you so much, sir. Thank you for your support, sir. Without you, it will not be possible, sir. It was possible just because of your support.
Thank you, madam.